Welcome to Stories of Hope. This is a podcast by the Dream Center.
Where you will hear from people who have stories that once seemed hopeless.
People whose stories of redemption and life transformation are so powerful, they can only be possible by the power of Jesus. Hey everybody, welcome back to Stories of Hope. Super excited to keep this season going and have our next guest on. Today we are joined by Julie Caldwell. She is a long time, in reality, I'll let her just tell it because I don't know how to go back that far. But she is on our board. She helps with our crisis intervention department here, and she does lots of other things.
Everything.
So thank you for being here. Super excited.
You're very welcome. Happy to be here.
Glad it finally worked out. I feel like
I know.
the last few seasons it's been like, all right guys, I've asked people and it's like, can't do now. And then we finally get there. So
Here we are.
super excited. So like I said, I'll let you kind of would love to hear some of the background of how you got involved with the Dream Center, kind of origin story, all the things.
It was kind of funny because we had a graduation last week.
Yeah.
Shout out to Haley.
Yeah, Haley.
And when I walked in, I was just kind of overcome because all the people there, and then the staff meeting was right after that, and I don't know how many were there, 100 or more.
Yeah, right.
And was just really overwhelmed. I walked over to Chris and I said, I was thinking about that phone call.
Right.
She called me and Shannon Leatherwood, and we were all in Bible study together at Rock Springs back in the day. And I said, that phone call that after you had read, same kind of different as me.
Right.
And she said, we got to do something. We got to do something. And so we began by just looking in the community, discovered there was a soup kitchen that we knew nothing about. We started doing childcare once a month at Mary's house.
Oh, yeah.
So we all volunteered and just started doing that.
Yeah.
Started taking a night at the soup kitchen, Shine, which was brand new to us. It's so weird that we had no idea.
Right.
But the Lord put on our hearts just to get out from our so we had about 100 women or so. And each week we would find a local charity and say, what do you need this week?
Right.
So, we did the whole thing, trash bags and whatever it was that they needed. And we would go deliver it, take a Suburban full over to them. So that's kind of how we started.
Right.
And, or that's my first memories of it. And then, of course, the Lord put on Jim and Chris. We got to do more. Right. And we discovered there's nothing in Pickens County for the homeless.
Yeah.
And that there were homeless people, which we didn't even know.
Yeah.
We didn't even know to look for them.
Right.
Or, to be honest, maybe we were even annoyed at them if we saw them. So the Lord started changing our heart and helping us see. And that's kind of how we got started. And then Jim and Chris started meeting, and I came on board. I'm sure, let's get going. So we started talking and started discovering that there was a lot of things that we had no idea about.
Yeah, right.
And they needed a little more than trash bags.
Yeah.
So that's how it got started. We started meeting, and the Lord really just, every time I look around, I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah, right.
Just from just start planting that seed.
Yeah, right.
Just planting that seed so early, and then to do this.
Right.
No. Chris always says, I would never have said yes to this.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then just to look around. So I was very overwhelmed that day.
I bet.
Those first three, few little people.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to see beyond their four walls.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's kind of how it got going.
Last week I was telling Chris too that I was like, do you have a picture of like y'all in the coffee shop at the very beginning? No. Because, it's public knowledge now, so I can say it. But we're about to open a coffee shop as another.
So excited about it.
Very excited. Yeah. And me and Matt, who's the director of that, was like, do you have a picture that we could post in the shop of like the original, just because it feels cool? And so I'm like, I feel like we need to get y'all there.
I looked for one, and I found one of Chris and Shannon and me in our first Shine T-shirt.
Okay, amazing.
It was a gold shirt with Shine.
Yeah.
And I found one of those.
Right.
I don't know. I'll share those with you.
Right.
But that would be kind of cool. And then there's one where we took a picture in front of the first box truck. But other than that,
yeah, I know.
I don't think there's anything.
It would have been fun to have the OG crew in the coffee shop now an hour is just a really cool full circle moment. So
I do have some from Shine.
Okay.
We're serving in Shine with our kids.
We'll get
little
those.
bitty kids.
Yeah, right.
All
of them. I love it.
That'd be fun.
Well, that's awesome. Obviously, like we get to do, get to be in a decent amount of the same spaces, and it's been a couple years, and so I felt the same way of all staff last week, just being like, it's crazy to see what 3.5 years has come and changed, and
I don't even remember when that was. When we first started opening our eyes a little bit, or the Lord started opening our eyes, honestly. Yeah. And then to see what he's done.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that's awesome. Well, as we continue to talk and keep moving through some conversation, the biggest reason we do this podcast, I try to let everybody know every week, is just that we want to use the personal testimony of our lives to give hope and to let people kind of see what God's doing in the lives of ordinary people. And I think you've kind of already started to touch on opening eyes and changing hearts. And so I'd love to give you a chance to kind of just talk a little bit about your personal testimony and share some stuff there.
Share that. I am one of those that grew up in a very loving home. My father was a teacher and a coach, and was always preaching somewhere from very early on. I think he was licensed like 17 years old, something like that, in his home church in Green Sea, South Carolina.
Okay.
And went on to school. I was born when he was 19 and Mom was 20.
Yeah.
In Due West, South Carolina, at Erskine. So I went to my dad's graduation.
Wow.
So they shared Jesus from, I don't remember when I didn't know about Jesus. Right. So I have a very wonderful family, just have a great childhood. And I'm the oldest of 5.
Okay.
And got saved at 9. Okay. A group from Gardner-Webb University came to our church, Wanamaker Baptist Church, in Floyd, South Carolina. I don't know if y'all ever know where that is.
You said about 3 places that I have no idea. I'm not from South Carolina, so I'm
that's
what
right.
is happening right now?
This is down in Horry County, down near North Myrtle Beach, Conway, down in that.
Great.
Out there in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
I just went to my aunt's 90th birthday down there, so it's kind of cool just to drive through.
Yeah.
And see those places where I grew up. But Wanamaker Baptist Church.
Okay.
And this group came, and a guy named Smiley, I don't even know his real name, but that's what he was. I remember that he stayed. So Smiley, hey, if you're out there somewhere, you played a part in my salvation. How about that? So there was a big storm in my house, and all 5 of us ended up in Mom and Dad's room because the trees were falling, a lot of things kind of like Helene.
Right.
And the Lord just started speaking to my heart after the sermons that I'd heard every single night from that student team. And I was like, oh, yeah, I want this.
Yeah.
So at 9 years old, I asked the Lord to just take over.
Right.
And that's when I was saved. And honestly, looking back, and I'm 60, so been saved a long time, he keeps taking me on this journey.
Yeah.
Ups and downs, giving me a little more to look at, kind of like opening my eyes at that age when I was. You got to see a little bit more. So that's my prayer since then.
Wow.
Open my eyes and let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see. So about college years, saw another level that I wanted to go to. And that's kind of my journey.
Yeah.
But there was an instance here. I was doing crisis very early on. We just called it intakes then. Yeah. And he came in. This guy came in. I wish I remembered his name, but I don't. He had just gotten out of prison, had prison tats head to toe, face covered, head covered, everything. Yeah. And we were just talking. He had gotten saved. The Lord had changed his life. But he had a terrible time trying to find a job.
Right.
And he said something that just really changed me.
Yeah.
He said, all my sins are on my face.
Wow.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's still, and I thought, man, if all my sins were on my face.
Yeah, right.
And really, when we come before the Lord, they are.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I thought, this is me.
Yeah. Wow.
It's got chills when you said that.
I mean, my sins are the same.
Yeah. Right.
And the miracle, I was just talking with Melissa Vess. I know she's done one of these.
Yeah.
I was talking with her about how we don't have $1 million testimony, but we do.
Oh, yeah.
Because the miracle that takes place when he washes us
Right.
white as snow, no more tats,
Right.
no more sin, no more. I mean, it was just, it really, because, I mean, you know, when you come in here, you kind of think, I can help somebody.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
My life is great. I can help somebody. But man, I am the people.
Yeah.
I am them.
Right.
And so when you start looking at it like that, I mean, that was a huge moment for me.
Yeah. Right.
Just as somebody who really has had, I mean, I've had things in my life, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But just to recognize that miracle
Right.
that Jesus did for us in taking those sins.
Yeah.
I mean, it really wiped me out that day.
Right.
I was so humbled and
Very powerful.
just begged him to forgive me for my arrogance.
Yeah.
you
Right.
know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of,
If only Scripture talked about like what happens to the proud, or what, you know, like
no,
you know, like,
right?
and it's one of those things where it's like you try to, someone who knows God for so long, you are like, I feel like I walk in humility a lot of the time, and then you'll have one instance where you're like, oh no, like, ooh, okay, pride is.
But you know what? He cares. He does want
yes.
to show us that.
Oh yeah, he wants to.
And I take it all the way back to show me.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when my heart is asking him to show me, man, he does. And I'm like, oh, okay, whew, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Which is why I think he does it bit by bit
Oh yeah.
on the
100%.
long journey. So,
Golly, that's amazing.
and trying to tell like Haley, who, you know,
Yes.
really is a baby,
Yeah.
helping her see. You know, he
Yes.
doesn't do it like that.
Yes.
He can.
He can, and he could.
And he does sometimes, but most of the time it's a step by step, really for us.
Yeah.
For us to
If
be
it
able
happened
to
too
grasp.
fast and too soon, we wouldn't be able to handle most of what he
Yeah,
wants
right.
to give us.
Oh,
That's where we're leaning on like James 1, where it's like when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow.
yes,
So it's like
yes.
he wants us to be able to sit in,
That's right.
like sit in the tension of like, I need God. If I don't choose Jesus and I'm trying to do this by
Yes.
myself, or it happens too quickly,
That's right.
I'm going to forget how to rely on the perfect
Yeah.
source. And so I think that that's where for the ladies and for anybody who comes through here,
Yes,
I'm like,
that's right.
it's okay if it doesn't all get fixed today. Like,
That's right.
you have,
And it also helped my patience.
oh yeah,
In helping people
Right.
along and seeing, you know what, it's not going to come like
Yeah,
that.
no.
So,
right. That's awesome.
so that I mean, that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Uh,
Yeah.
My life is very full of, and I'm going to tell you about my grandchildren.
Yeah.
I have 12 beautiful grandchildren, and they did come from my children. I do have them too.
Yeah,
they
right.
accuse me of not mentioning them anymore. So I have 4 of my
They're a little
own.
outnumbered at this
4
point.
plus 4. They got beautiful spouses too. But yeah, so
Yeah.
I love watching how the Lord's working in them even now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
Kind
Love
of
that.
going off of that
Yeah.
and what you said earlier, because I know that's something Melissa brought up in hers too about, I don't, like you said, I don't have the $1 million story. I don't have like any kind of traumatic.
Yeah.
Well, praise God for that.
But
also,
I know, right?
I
now
just-
I'm praying that forward.
Yeah, right.
But teach them.
I just think
teach
it
them
just
gently.
shows like
Yeah.
the generational blessing of like you grew up in
Oh
with
my goodness,
amazing
yes.
parents who like love the Lord.
Right.
You and your husband love the Lord. Now you have these your kids and your
Yes.
grandkids, and I just think it shows
Yes.
like the sovereignty of the Lord to keep that through every generation and like
It's
blessing
an
you through all of that.
Unbelievable blessing.
It's beautiful.
Yes, it really is. I mean, I have seen my grandfather get on his knees and pray for all of us by name, and there were 21 of us as far as cousins go.
Right.
So I think back on that now, and I'm like, okay, and now my dad walks every morning
Yeah.
and prays for everybody by name,
Right.
his grands and his great grands.
Wow.
And so I'm thinking, he's 87.
Right.
Lord, put that in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That in me. So
Yeah. I think
it's
that's
really
part of
amazing.
like when I think about raising them the way they should go in scripture, it's not like this like beat into them religion or whatever. It's
Yeah.
just like, just let them see you
Yes.
pursue God in
Yes.
yourself, and that will,
Yeah.
they're going to want to the same thing if they see
Exactly.
the authentic side of your relationship with God, of not this like church on Sunday, youth on
Yeah,
Wednesday,
yeah.
Bible, it's like,
Which I've done that too.
right, right.
And that does play a part, I
It
think,
does.
in the growth part.
But like being able to see your
Yes.
granddad on his knees and spending time, like it,
Yes.
that's what
Very
makes the
blessed.
impact of like, I want whatever he's got.
Yes.
Because
And to
that's
see the
different.
girls that come through here
Right.
be the change in generations.
Yeah,
right.
Turn. Absolutely.
And think, 30, 40 years from now,
right,
and what their kids have experienced to be total opposite.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, a chance for
really
something different.
Is.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
So
so let's talk about a little bit then with the family dynamic. Like, how has that? She got excited so quick. She's like, "All right, cool." How has that kind of changed perspective in relationship with your kids and being a grandma? Like all the things. Like, was there any moments of like, okay, now I'm flipping into a whole different kind of outlook or capacity or anything like that?
You know what? I think it's just a constant. It's a constant. I see my grandchildren, I see them and I think, ooh, that's me.
Right.
I did that. Or my children call me and say, Mom, what do I do with this?
Right.
And I think, okay, this is what I experienced with you.
Yeah, right.
But to see them, to see my children wanting their children to love the
Right.
Lord. And there was a book that I used early on in parenting, and I should know his name. I'm sorry. Maybe we can put it on here when we
Right.
finish. But it was Shepherding Your Child's Heart.
Okay.
Shepherding a Heart. And it's more of helping them love Jesus.
Right.
Not fall in love with Jesus.
Yes.
And allowing God to take each one of them and
Yeah,
change them.
right.
But yeah, again, it's a very humbling thing.
Of course.
To see them grow,
Yeah.
but to also struggle
Right.
with the same things I had to go
Yeah, of
through,
course.
and to help them see, you know what? Again, it's that journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey. So
Wow. That's awesome.
it's constant and still learning.
Right.
So.
This is going to feel like a hard pivot, but you mentioned book. One thing I'd love to hear too is one of the major things you do at Dream Center as well is teach classes on top of.
Yes.
I was like, how did I forget to ask her about class teaching? As you said, like book I've used. I'd love to like let everybody know like what has been some of the things that you've seen through, because you've taught classes for a while, and in different ways and at different times, and so what are some of the big things that you've seen through those moments with clients or even that you've gotten that have helped kind of shape faith or keep faith or build?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is that, I grew up in Baptist churches,
Right.
where we have everything we need. Sometimes the biggest concern is what's going to be, who's making the coffee,
Yeah, right.
or how are we going to sit around a table, or are we going to, those kind of things.
Right.
And when you are able to come into a classroom and everybody's hungry,
Right.
they do not care about anything except getting the word.
Yeah.
And then there are times when it clicks in,
Right.
and you're like, and you
Yeah.
just feel the momentum change. But I've seen, you can tell on faces when the Lord just changes somebody.
Right.
And there's a couple of them
Oh,
in
yeah.
here where they came in angry and refused to sit anywhere except in the very back of the room.
Right.
And slowly but surely, the
Yeah.
Lord began to soften that hard heart.
Yeah. Right.
And now they just want the word.
Yeah.
They're always, there's always going to be somebody back in the back.
Of course.
I just be here for the dream dollars.
Yeah. Right.
But when you are able to share the power of the word,
yeah.
and know that it can change every single thing
Everything,
about
yeah.
you, soften that heart. It changes your mind. It helps you see.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you smarter.
Yeah, right.
Makes you wise. I mean, all of that from the word, and trying to just share that
Yeah. Right.
in those classes and help them catch the view of the hope
Yeah.
that is right there for them.
Right.
Yeah. So again, I keep saying humbling, but all of it is.
Oh, it is,
because
100%.
you're like, Lord, you're using me for this.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, I grew up. I sang. I didn't speak
Right.
or teach or anything like that.
Yeah.
So for the Lord to, in my 60s
Yeah.
and 50s, to change. Allison, Allison Rollers.
Yeah.
She said that mic's for more than singing.
Right.
So
Yes.
we started teaching, and
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things.
Right. So
It
then
really
on the counter to that, seasons where it feels like it's just like running into a
yeah.
brick wall. Like, what have
Yeah.
been some of the things that have helped you to be like to keep show up or to keep feeling encouraged to keep trying? Like, because
Yeah.
we've all been there.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I mean, I've been wearing this bracelet for a long time, and it says, "And so we wait."
Right.
Because he never fails.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
I can look back.
Right.
He has never failed.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
In our marriage, my husband Cliff, I always forget to mention poor Cliff.
Hey,
he always goes to the grandchildren, but he understands. Sorry, honey. But in our lives, we get to we've had some tough things. We've been through some tough times.
Yeah, right.
And I remember asking him one time, you know what? Has he ever let us down?
Yeah.
Never.
Right.
It doesn't mean it wasn't without pain.
Yeah.
It was excruciating sometimes.
Yeah.
But as we waited on him,
Yeah.
again, changed what we were looking at.
True.
Looking to him, he always comes through.
Yeah.
And not hardly ever exactly the way and
Right.
the timing that
Oh,
I
yeah.
want, but it never fails, Brady.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And now, almost I can go immediately and say, not worried about that.
Oh, yeah.
Not worried about that.
Right.
And this past week, I had my youngest 7-week-old grandchild had RSV. They
Right.
ended up in the hospital.
Right.
The fires in LA, where I have a son who
Right.
was on high alert.
Yeah.
And then another child going through a health crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, just seemed like one thing after another. And, I wish I could always say that oh, yes, the Lord's got this. But
Right. Oh, yeah.
I think he needs that. He needs
Right.
that crisis in me
Right.
to say, oh, no, he's
Yeah.
got it.
Right.
So to turn my heart. And
Right.
hopefully the older I get, the quicker I go
Oh, yeah.
to that. But that. And so we wait.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And he's coming back. I'm telling you.
Oh,
He's gonna. All this is gonna be done.
Oh, yeah.
Whew, this
Right.
journey will be done.
Yeah.
Complete. I'll say
Right.
complete.
Complete. Yeah.
Not done. Complete. Yeah.
I love that.
I love the idea of a perspective change because even talked about earlier, it may take a while for the situation to change, but you can always change your perspective in the moment.
That's exactly right. That's right.
I think it's beautiful.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of our time. So one of the last things we always love to do is just like if you've got one thing that you could share with people who are listening, as far as, and I feel like every little area we've hit so far, there's been like a nugget of like, okay, this is really great. This is really great. As we wait, all the things.
So true.
But just like, again, we're just hoping that this can give some hope in who Jesus is, in the way that we get to experience life with him, that he is real and he's alive and that he's with us.
Yeah.
And so if there was anything,
I think what he's really hammering into my head this year, and I know you do Bible recap. I've started doing Bible recap, and I've been really studying and reading the Word for 51 years.
Right.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You would think you would get it by then. No, it's brand new.
Yeah, right.
It's brand new, but it's so personal.
Yes.
And he does. He cares about Julie Elizabeth Powell Caldwell. And all those years, he orchestrated everything in my life and everybody else's life around me, yours and Sarah's and Mike's.
Yeah.
I mean, because he loves you.
Yeah, right.
And he loves you.
Yeah.
He really, really does.
Yeah.
And he wants that relationship.
Yeah, right.
And he won't stop.
No.
So that's just pursue him.
Yeah.
Ask him and he'll show up.
That's amazing.
Seek him and you're going to find him. He's going to be there.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
I love it.
So good.
Yep.
So good.
Love it. That's perfect. Well, thank you for doing this. Thank
My
you for
pleasure.
Thank you for being patient with me as I text you every 3 days, being like, "Hi, do you have time for me yet?"
Hey, and then I had somebody not show up. So hey, here we are.
It works out great. So but I'm so thankful for you. Thankful for your impact here, for our friendship,
Thank you very much.
all the things that we get to be a part of together.
I'm in awe. I really am.
Truly.
About you guys being here. Even being able to do this.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Of course, this didn't even exist when we first started.
No, yeah.
A podcast, what?
Right. Even 3 years ago when it was like, had just taken a break and then coming back, I'm sitting here like, the fact that we get to do it to this scale and with this kind of, it's just, it's crazy to see what God is doing here.
It is.
This year is only going to get crazier. So everybody buckle up.
That's it.
Only January.
Yeah, literally. But thank you. We love you a whole bunch. So
I enjoy being it. Thank you.
Well, thank y'all for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next week on the next episode.